Hello everyone and welcome to all my dear students. I hope so you all are fine and today is your social class, right? So today in this class we are going to discuss third content, that is a part 3, our province or short introduction from unit 1. Okay, my dear students, before to discuss the third content of unit 1, first of all I want to revise the second content that we have already discussed in the previous class. And in previous class we had discussed part 2 from unit 1, that is importance of regionalism and federalism, right? So in the previous class we had discussed first of all what is the meaning of the regionalisms, and after defining the definition of regionalism, some importance of regionalism, right? And after importance of regionalism, the second part is there, second, federalisms. What's the definition of federalisms and what are the different importance of federalisms? My dear students, as we all know that in previous class also I had already told you that according to the new constitution, according to the new constitution which was formulated on 3rd Ashok 2072 Bikram Sambat. Yes, new constitution which was formulated on 3rd Ashok 2072 Bikram Sambat. So according to the new constitution, there are three levels of government. That is the first, federal government as a national government. Second, provincial government, and last one is the local government. And the three types of government according to the new constitution. And you know that constitution is a law of Nepal, a supreme law of Nepal, and law is for the welfare of the human beings. All right. So, and in this class, from Unit 1, Part 3, the third contains our province a short introduction. And just before to discuss about our province, once again, my dear students, I want to repeat the three levels of government. The first is federal, that's a central level of government, which was made, formulated on 3rd Ashok 2022 Bikram Sambat. And second is provincial government, and last one the local government. And as we all know that there are altogether 7 provinces in our country Nepal according to the new constitution which was formulated on 3rd Ashok 2072 Bikram Sambat. So my dear students, now in this class today we'll discuss about province number 1 and 2. Province number 1 and 2. And as we all know that there are altogether 7 provinces according to the new constitution. Yeah. So, my dear students, you can see on the screen. Okay. First of all, my dear students, you can see on the screen that there is the map of province number 1. And my dear students, once again, I want to repeat that according to the new constitution, the new constitution was formulated on 3rd Ashok 2072 Bikram Sambat. So altogether there are 7 provinces. So on the screen you can see the map of province number 1, and from this map we can get lots of knowledge. It means from this map, province number 1, there are including different districts as well as some of the famous rivers included in province number 1. My dear students, once again, I want to repeat that from this map of province number 1. And this map clarifies that different districts of province number 1, some famous rivers and some famous religious sites located in province number 1. So my dear students, if you have available textbook, you can see in a textbook as well to know the knowledge information of map of province number 1. That once again you can see on the screen some name of districts like Morang, Sunsari, Sangkhwa, yeah, Udaipur, Bhojpur, Khotang. Some names of districts included in the province number 1. Similarly, you can see on the screen as well some of the name of river as well, like Mechi, Konkai, right? So from the map of this province number one, we can get lots of information. Lots of information. It means name of districts, some name of rivers, and some name of the religious sites located in province number one. Okay, my dear students, you can see. And after this map, in the next page, in next screen, I have mentioned here some of the important points of province number one. Some of the important points that we should have to remember to know the overall the concept of the province number one. So you can see on the screen in the top in red color, province number one at a glance. It is like a summary of important points of province number one. Okay, my dear students, you can see on the screen. First of all, the first point you can see there, the total area covered by province number one. And we all, the area covered by province one, 25,905 square kilometer, in percent, 18 percentage. Among the 100 percentage, it means totally out of 100, 18 percentage, the total area covered by the province number one, and 25,905 square kilometer, the area of the province one. And if you want to know the percentage, remember in the bracket there is mentioned 18 percentage covered by the province number one. All right. And my dear students, once again you can see on the screen the next point, very important point, the total population of the province number one. What's the total number of people? What's the total number of people surviving in the province number one? And the total population of province number one is about 45 lakhs. It means in the percentage 17.1 percentage. So the first point, once again, I want to repeat the total area covered by the province number one, that is the 18 percentage, 25,905 square kilometer. That's is covered by the province number one, and the total population, the total number of people, about 45 lakhs. That's mean in percentage, 17.1 percentage. All right, my dear students. And similarly, once again, you can see in the same screen, my dear students, as we all know that Nepal is rich in culture, and we know that in the Nepal, different caste of Nepalese people are surviving, and we know that in the context of Nepal, there are three regions. That's the Hilly Mountain Terai. So in the different regions, we can find out a different caste of Nepalese people. So in case of province number one, in case of province number one, some of the major caste of Nepalese people that they surviving in province number one. Number one, first, like Chetri, Rai, Limbu, Tamang, Rajwanshi, Magar, Tharo are some of the major caste of Nepalese people that they settle, survive in the province number one, right? As some major caste of province number one. Okay, my dear students, and after then, uh, third major point is religious sites. And once again, my dear students, you all of you know that Nepal is rich in culture, and Nepal is also rich in heritage sites as well, because in Nepal there are various religious places that attracts the tourists for the development of the nation. So among the different religious places or religious sites of Nepal, in province number one, some of the famous religious sites are like a Fatihwara temple, which is located in Taplejung district, Alesi Mahadev, which is located in the Kotang district, and Barachetra are some of the famous religious places of province number one. My dear students, once again, I want to repeat the name of the religious sites of province number one, Patara Temple, the first famous religious place of province number one, and second, Alesi Mahadev and Barachetra are some of the famous religious sites of province number one. Okay. my dear students. And after then, once again, you can see on the same screen. And after then, the next important point is their food crops. Food crops. And as we all know that in the context of Nepal, there are three ecological regions, as a hilly mountain Tarai. And we know that in hilly mountain Tarai, people cultivate varieties of crops. It means varieties of food grains to survive their life. And as we all know that without the food, our life is impossible. So we know that Nepal is rich in agriculture. And most of the Nepalese people are engaged in agricultural profession because among the different professions, most of the Nepalese people are engaged in agricultural profession. That's a major profession of Nepalese people. So in the different regions like in hilly mountain Tarai or in different province number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So among the different province, in the first province number 1, some of the food crops are mentioned there on the screen. Number 1, the paddy, maize, millet, wheat are some of the food grains or food crops that the people cultivate and they consume in their daily life for the good health or for the to gain energy. All right, so there are some of the major food grains, food crops of the province number 1. And my dear students, you have to point out, you have to mind that like paddy, maize, wheat are some of the common food crops of different province because just I told you Nepal is agricultural country. Most of the Nepalese people are engaged in agricultural profession. So food crops are might be same or similar in the different province number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, my dear students. Okay, after food crops, and the next point is just cash crop. Cash means that indicate the economic condition of the certain province. Cash crop. All right, cash crop indicates the economic condition of a certain province. And there are some of the points are there. Some cash crops like a jute, tea, sugarcane are some of the cash crop. It means this jute, tea, sugarcane indicates the economic condition to improve to upgrade the economic condition of people that they settle in the province number 1. So my dear students, uh, once again, cash crop indicates the economic condition of the certain province. And just now we are discussing province number 1. So in case of province number 1, the major cash crops are jute, tea, sugarcane, etc. The some of the major cash crops of province number 1. Okay, my dear students, and after cash crops, some of the districts, and altogether there are the 14 districts. That means province number 1 occupies altogether 14 districts. And as we all know that, my dear students, according to the new constitution, there are altogether 77 districts. It means Rukum and Nolpara are divided into two parts, eastern and western. So that according to the new constitution, there are altogether 77 districts, and out of 77 districts, province number 1 occupies the altogether 14 districts. And I have also mentioned the name of districts. And just I told you in the first page there is a map of Nepal, and from the map of province number 1 also we can know what are the name of different districts occupied by the province number 1. Okay, my dear students, I want to read the name of districts occupied by the province number 1, right? First, Taplejung is there, and Pastor, Ilam, Sanghvasabha, and Teratum, Tankuda, Bhojpur, Khotang, Solukhumbu, Okhaldunga, Udaipur, Chapa, Sunsari, and Morong. So all together, 14 districts are occupied by the province number 1. And just I told you from the map also, from the map of province number 1 also, we can know, we can find out the name of districts located or occupied by the province number 1. Okay, my dear students. And after districts, my dear students, some of the business areas, business areas, transaction of goods and services. Transaction, no, business means that's a transaction of goods and services, buying and selling of varieties of goods from one place to another place. So in case of province number one, there are some name the place that indicate the popular business area of the province number one. Like Dharan is there, Damak is there, Viratnagar, and Britamur Ilam are some of the famous city of the province number one, and that cities are very popular for the transaction of varieties of goods and services. Just I told you, business area for the purchase of selling and buying. Yeah, business indicates transaction of selling and buying of varieties of goods and services from one place to another place. So in the business area, some of the major cities, name of the cities, and in that cities, basically there is a high transaction of business in case of province number one. Okay, my dear students, some business areas. And after then, some tourist areas. And we know that Nepal is rich in culture, tradition, nature, right? And there are also some of the mountains that attract the tourists, and because of attraction of tourism, tourists, that helps to develop the economic condition of the nation, as well as people get different opportunities because of the attraction of tourists in Nepal, right? So some of the tourist areas are mentioned here. Mount Everest, and you will often know that I speak of the old, not only Nepal, I speak of the old, yeah. Mount Everest, which is located in Nepal in province number one. Located in Nepal, but among the 7 provinces, Mount Everest is located in province number one. You have to mind it, and which is very much popular. And because of Mount Everest, many tourists, many foreign people visit in Nepal, and through that, it helps to increase the foreign currency, and that also provides different opportunities to the people, right? And after Ilam also there for the tea, famous, yeah. Namche and Halisi Mahadev are some of the tourist areas. Some of the tourist areas, and especially in that place, tourists visit there because Mount Everest, Ilam, Namche, Bazaar, Halisi Mahadev are some of the tourism area. So in case of province number one, okay. And after then, the next point is there protected areas. Protected areas means to Nepal government had established different national parks, wildlife reserves, and conservation area because to preserve the different endangered birds, animals, and plants, or to preserve the environment, to maintain the ecosystem. So Nepal government had established different national parks, wildlife reserves, and conservation area. The aim of establish different protection areas to preserve different endangered birds and animals, plants, to maintain the ecosystem. So in this province number one, some of the protected areas are occupied, like first Sagarmatha National Park, NP, the short form is I have mentioned NP means National Park. All right, Sagarmatha National Park, the first protected area in the Sagarmatha National Park is included in the province number one. It means a province number one occupied Sagarmatha National Park. Okay, and after then, my dear students, the Kositapu Wildlife Reserves (WR), I have mentioned it WR only, short form, Wildlife Reserves, full form. MP National Parks, and WR means as a wildlife reserve. So this province number one occupied Sagarmatha National Park and Kositapu Wildlife Reserves. And just I told you, this both Sagarmatha National Park or Kositapu Wildlife Reserve was established because to preserve, to protect the different endangered birds, animals, and plants. All right. Okay. And after then, my dear students, the next point is there. Some of the mountains, peaks, which is located in the province number one, like Mount Everest in tourism area in tourist area also we have this Mount Everest, and the height also there 8,848 meter from the sea level, and Mount Kanchenjunga is also there, and Mount Makalu are some of the famous peaks, some of the mountains which is located in province number 1. And my dear students, Mount Everest, Mount Kanchenjunga, and Mount Makalu are also the attractive mountain peaks for the attraction of tourists, right? For the attraction of tourists from the mountain, from the peaks also, it attracts the tourists for the development of our country, Nepal, as well as to get different opportunities so that different mountain and peaks also attract the different tourists from the different foreign countries as well. All right. And after then, the next point is there now. This province number 1 expand or spread in mountain, hill, and Tarai region of eastern Nepal. It means province number 1 occupied some districts of mountain, hill, and Tarai. And just for the clarification, once again, my dear students, you can see the map of province number 1 also, and from that map also we can clarify that this province number 1 is spread in mountain, hill, and Tarai region of eastern Nepal. All right, okay. My dear students, these are some of the important points of province number 1. Some important points. It means that is the province number 1 at a glance. That means area, population, caste of people, religious sites, mountain peaks, right? So that is the first province number 1. And after then, my dear students, you can see the next page. The next page is the first of all the map of province number 1. Sorry, 2. Province number 2. And in the first, in second page, there is a map of the province number 1. But in this page, there is the map of province number 2. And from this map also, we can know, we can find out some of the name of districts and some name of rivers, which is located in province number 2. And my dear students, if you have our textbook or if you have atlas, from the atlas so we can get lots of knowledge about the map of Nepal, about the map of province number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So my dear students, I want to request to you all that if you have the atlas, please once you can see the atlas, and from the atlas, just I told you, we can get lots of knowledge, some famous rivers, religious sites, district, mountain peaks of different provinces. So province number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So my dear students, and there is a map of province number 2 and some of the districts, and like Sira, Saptari, Dhanusa, Rautad, Bara, Porsa. From the map we can know the name of the districts. Okay, okay. After the map, there are some like a first province here also province number 2 at a glance. It is a summary of province number 2. So here are like province number 1, and in 2 also the first point you can see the total area. What's the total area of province number 2? Like a province number 1, right? So in case of province number 2, the total area covered by province number 9,661 square kilometers at 7%. My dear students, total area 9,660 square kilometer, but in percentage 7%. Out of 100% is 7% is covered by the province number 2 in case of area. And in case of population of province number 2, about 54 lakhs, it means 20% out of 100% is the total population, total number of people that survive in the province number 2. That's about 54 lakhs, around 20% in province number 2. Okay, and after then, my dear students, once again, major caste like the province number 1, and just I told you, once again, I want to read Nepal is rich in culture, tradition, festivals. As we all know that in different province, different Nepalese people are there, and different Nepalese people are from different caste. Yeah, because so different caste, different culture, tradition. So Nepal is rich in tradition, culture. Yeah. So some of the major caste of province number two, it's like the Yadav, Tharo, Muslims are some of the major caste of province number two. Major caste of province number two. All right. And after then the next point is there some of the religious sites, some of the religious places of province number two, like in province number one. In province number one also there are some of the famous religious places, and same as the one in two also some of the famous religious sites, and these religious sites indicates the certain religion of the certain province, because religious places reflect the religion, tradition, festivals of a certain place. So religious sites are some major religious sites of province number two. That's a Janakpur Dam, this Gaudimai temple, and this Chinamas are some of the religious sites. Some of the religious sites which is located in province number two. All right. And after then, my dear students, you can see the next point here: food crops. Like in province number one, just we discussed that some of the major food crops, some of the major food grains of province number one. And once again, in this province number two, there are some of the name of food grains, that's the food crops. And just in while we discuss in province number one, I have already told you that Nepal is rich in agriculture. So it means maximum more than 50% is more than 50% of Nepalese people are engaged in agriculture. And so here are mentioned some of the major food crops of province number two. They are paddy, wheat, maize, etc. And just I told you there are paddy, wheat, maize. These are some of the common similar food grains of province number one. The reason is because maximum the Nepalese people are engaged in agricultural profession. So wheat, uh, millet, maize are some of the common food crops, common food grains of different province number one, two, three, four, five, six, and seven as well. All right. And after then, my dear students, you can see the next after food crops, the cash crops is there. And like the province number one, in the province number two also, different people engage in different profession, and cash crops indicates the economic condition of the certain province. Cash crops. So some of the cash crops are there, and the jute, like common in province number one and two, sugarcane, tobacco, etc. are some of the cash crops of province number two. Province number two. Okay.
Excuse me,
Okay,
sir.
my dear students, after
We have
cash
less than
crops
2 minutes.
and after cash crop and districts are there, some of the name of districts, and altogether there are 8 districts. Province number two occupies altogether 8 districts, and the name of district also you can see in the map of province number two as well. So on the screen also I have mentioned the name of districts, altogether 8. That's a Saftari, Sira, Dhanusa, Mohotori, Sarlai, Rautad, Bara, and Parsa are 8. Altogether 8 districts are occupied by the province number two. And after then, my dear students, some of the business areas, and just I told you that what is the meaning of business area. So some of the business areas of province number one, like Birganj, Rajviraj, Janakpur, and Nizgad are some of the famous cities place, and these famous cities place are useful for the purpose of business, for the transaction of varieties of goods and services. So about the province number two. All right. And after then protected areas are there, and just I told you in we discuss in the province number one as well, protected areas. And in case of province number two, Porsa Wildlife Reserve, the protected area. It means province number two occupied Porsa wildlife reserves, and protected areas means just I tell you Nepal government had established different national parks, wildlife reserves to protect the different endangered birds, animals, and plants, or to maintain the ecosystem. So, province number 2 occupied Parsa Wildlife Reserve. And finally, the next point is there, and province number 2 and is spread expand the expansion area of the province number 2 and expand in the mid Tarai region from Saptari to Parsa district in case of province number 2.